Okay, we're going to start now with the mood of the nation poll looking at the state of the economy. How do people perceive the Modi government's handling of the economy at a critical time just ahead of the budget? We're joined by Raj Chingappa, editorial director, India Today magazines, as well as Yashwant Deshmukh of C Voter, which has done this poll. And these poll findings are important, as I said, in the context of what is going to happen in a few days from now. Siddharth Zarabi, managing editor, Business Today TV, is also with us. Salman Sohs, national spokesperson, Congress, and Dr. Syed Zafar Islam, national spokesperson, BJP. But those big numbers, Maria, will give us a sense of how people are responding to what has been a very difficult time domestically and globally when it comes to dealing with economic issues.
Yes, that's right. And as we have been saying that today was the day of the economic survey, which was tabled by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman in Parliament. We have spoken to the Chief Economic Advisor of the Government of India, Anant Nageshwar, and he has given us a sense of why he thinks that India's growth outlook is positive, but has to be cautiously optimistic at the same time. Let's look at the first big numbers. Government's handling of the economy. NDA government's handling of the economy, 49% say it's good. As far as 29% are concerned, they say it's poor. So roughly, there is a high satisfactory rate as far as Prime Minister Modi's decision with regards to economic stability is concerned. We have seen the mother of all deals being inked just 2 days ago with the European Union. Who managed Indian economy better? Narendra Modi stands at 54%. Just look at the next set of data, which is now on your television screens. And as far as Dr. Manmohan Singh, former Prime Minister, is concerned, that stands at 36%. But if you look at the transition from August 2025 to now, there is an increase of almost 9% for Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So in terms of global turbulence, there seems to be a huge thumbs up for Prime Minister Modi that he perhaps read the White House correctly and started looking at new opportunities, new pacts vis-a-vis UK and even European Union deal. Remember, it has been in the making for good 18 years, Rajdeep.
That's right. And if you look at this in a sense is one of the reasons why Prime Minister Modi's numbers are holding, because it is, as was famously said, the economy is stupid. It's when you get the economy wrong that your numbers start falling. If the only time I've seen Mr. Modi's numbers fall in our mood of the nation over the last decade, for example, is during COVID. There was a period, particularly in COVID too, where there were concerns. So it is real livelihood issues that affect people. That was a concern over the economy at the time. But even in these difficult times, there is a general feeling that the government has done a reasonable job. It's not excellent, but it certainly is well above average. Raj Chingappa, would I be right in saying that in a sense is one of the big takeaways that we are getting from this mood of the nation? Economic status has improved. 35% are saying improved, same are saying 30%, deteriorated 32%, more divided there. But overall handling of the economy, there's a general positive feeling.
Yes, and it goes with the sense there's political stability, and he's brought economic stability as well, and growth. Let's not forget, India in the last GDP figures showed that we are the fastest growing economy across the world. And what he's done is, and that's why you see the numbers, in this year he's addressed all the big issues. If demand and consumption was an issue, he lowered the bar for paying income tax. He made it 12 lakhs and below was free. We saw the rationalization of the GST come in, where definitely if we see in the months ahead, that will start benefiting with lower prices and therefore put more money in people's hands to consume and therefore create demand. Then he bit the bullet on the labor courts, one of the most difficult legislations. Many could have argued whether this is perfect or not, but the fact is it's out there to be debated and implemented. And as Maria earlier said, the fact that he diversified India's trade interests, signing the mother of all deals, earlier negotiating with the other countries, this is the 9th deal he's signed in the last 5 years, showing that he's open to expansion. And this reform express that he talks about has been fully evident ever since the last year that we've seen where after the win of Maharashtra and Haryana that the BJP and its allies did, and Bihar. That has given him the impetus. And I think what these results are showing, both in terms of numbers, politically, that the BJP will now get a full majority if elections are being held and the NDA's numbers are very high. And if you look at the ratings that this particular poll shows, that all this shows that the mandate is go ahead and do the reforms. We are with you. And that's a big thing as Budget 2026.
Can I just get a quick, before I go to the other guests, Yashwant, just a comparison between numbers of handling the economy in August of 2025 compared to now. Would I be right in saying that today Mr. Modi's numbers are actually marginally better than they were 5 months ago, which also reflect in the seats that the BJP is projected to get? The NDA government's marginally, as you can see, has gone up from 48 to 49 between August and now. So it was at a high about a year ago, but 2 years ago. But overall, it is pretty rock solid. Would I be right to say that?
You're right. And also it is one of those things when you compare Dr. Manmohan Singh and Modi's and like that, this is the only zigzag movement you can see sometimes, you know. And that's largely because as we have observed, whenever there is a kind of economic distress, inflation going up, those numbers start coming down. Whenever that stress eases, those numbers start going up. Yes, at the bottom line is that it's the economy which works largely in favor, which is sometimes supported by
but
election.
broadly, the numbers are rock solid.
The
If you
numbers
look
are
at
absolutely
between 54 to 49%, when you're good, even in tough times,
You see,
then that's a
people-
thumbs up.
and
Siddharth Zarabi, you want to give your first reaction because you're the one who tackles the economy every day?
Rajdeep, very clearly, if you look at that chart closely, not once in the data set that we are being shown does Modi ever dip below the economist who became prime minister. So take that as the first point. And what does this therefore tell us? That there might be dips episodic, but overall, it clearly seems that people believe that Prime Minister Modi's handling of the economy is net positive, but not rock solid very clearly. It dips, it varies as things swing. But nowhere in this data set do we see it going below the Manmohan line, Rajdeep.
Yes, and a quick observation also on this, Rajdeep. From August 2025 to January 2026, we are looking at 9% increase for Prime Minister Narendra Modi. That's also because after August 2025 came the next generation GST reforms. Also, the labor codes came into force. So, and now we are looking at the economic survey. Of course, this survey was done much before the economic survey came into force. The sense here is that the next generation GST reforms and also the labor code has given that positive bump for Prime Minister Modi because he also announced it as the year of reforms. Series of decisions which were taken from direct to indirect taxes.
Sure, but you see, at the end of the day, it's about perception. The perception is that in difficult times, I think, in difficult times, if you do not allow the economy to spiral into a bottomless pit, people reward you for the effort. And are you willing to give Salman Sohs, you're an opposition leader, given what we've seen with the economic survey, where the chief economic advisor, who Maria has interviewed, we'll have that interview at 10 p.m., also admits that there are global headwinds, there are risks, but the macroeconomic headline numbers are relatively solid. And the general feeling is that the Indian economy, unlike other economies across the world, is holding on, is resilient. And therefore, the Prime Minister is being given, or the government is being given credit for keeping the economy on the right track. You want to call it Reform Express, you want to call it Reform Mail, that's up to you.
Well, Rajdeep, what I want to say is that if you look at the data here, in August 2024, I look at the screen and it says that 52% is the approval rating for the Prime Minister. This is just after an election where he lost his majority for the first time in 3 tries. So, and now if he's at 49%, I congratulate him because, if you look at the pre-2024, July 2024, pre-election Mood of the Nation survey, I'm sure the survey gave the NDA 350 seats or something like that. So if that is the benchmark, great. But let me tell you what the reality is, what people are feeling as we speak. this country's consumption, this economy's consumption is extremely weak. And by the way, the 7.4% GDP growth number that the finance minister will report at the budget presentation will come with certain caveats. Your tax collections have been basically contracted this year. Okay, your tax collections are contracting compared to what they were expecting. They were expecting 11% growth, and we right now till November we've had contraction. What does that tell you? That tells you there's some serious problems in the economy. And I think that your survey may not capture that, but that's a data point. That's a real data point. Scooter sales. Your scooter sales are very important because that's an entry point to middle class status. Your scooter sales right now are barely catching up with 2018-19 levels. Okay, that is the real data point. Nobody can argue with that. Your private sector investments are down. Your overall investments are not touching 30% since 2014. That's real data.
Okay.
By the way, the Bombay stock.
Let Zafar Islam now respond to that. You have a lot of data here.
Let me just finish the data point that viewers might be interested in. The stock market. Everybody loves the stock market. The Bombay Stock Exchange, the BSE index. Since 2024, when it reached a peak, it's gone down by 5%. But the small caps, the small companies, their share has gone down by 20%. So their value has gone down by 20%. This economy does not work for small businesses and medium enterprises. This economy is based on a philosophy of trying to get some national champions working, and that is the wrong way to go. And no matter where you see, manufacturing as a share of the economy is at 12.5%, the lowest since the early 1960s. So please spare me these lectures on how amazing Mr. Modi is and Nirmala Sitharaman, etc. The real economy is in deep trouble.
We've heard you uninterrupted, Salman. We've heard you throw those data points. You want to respond to those data points? We can give the numbers in the mood of the nation. For example, on consumption, very interestingly, 49% after the GST new rules came in, say things remain the same, Zafar Islam. But you want to respond to the points that are being made by Salman Sohs, effectively suggesting this government does not work for the small and micro industries, it works for the bigger players.
See, every opposition leaders have to criticize the government, and that is what Salman Sohs is doing. But away from that, let me tell you very candidly that Indian economy, it doesn't work in isolation. No, let me just, Rajdeep, allow me to respond. I'm saying please. Indian economy doesn't work in isolation. It is a part of a global integrated economy. There is a headwind, every economy will be impacted. But Indian economy relatively in much stable position compared to many other economies. That itself is a big relief for everyone in India. Away from opposition parties, which they have to criticize. But let me tell you very important things, that inflation is low, macro stability is there, growth is picking up. Even the today's survey is suggesting that there is a growth momentum and economic activity is there. Lot of economic stimulus has been given last year in 2025. The problem with many countries is facing that their economy is in crisis. And they have to rescue. We are not in that position. We don't have to rescue our economy. We are not in crisis. We are in a very different situation. We have how to steer our economy so that we have more productive GDP growth, and that is what the economic survey is also indicating. But as I said, that we work in a global economy which is integrated. There are headwinds which every country is facing. We are not facing because we have market, we have consumption. All the stimulus which has been given has not fully played out as yet. I'm telling you that all the heavy lifting which has been done last year has not fully played out as yet, and they will see that lot of more momentum going forward, and that is what economic survey is suggesting, that there will be growth momentum of GDP growth of 7.4%.
The economic survey, actually, to be fair, the economic survey is presenting Dr.
Cautious
Islam, the
optimism.
economic survey is presenting a more complex picture. Siddharth Zarabi, am I right? That the truth lies somewhere between what Salman Sohs says, where
That is what
everything is not working, and Syed Zafar Islam, who seems to suggest we are on a reform express. Just a minute. Let Siddharth Zarabi give us his view. Is the truth somewhere in between, as the survey seems to suggest? For example, on the rupee, that the rupee, the survey admits, has punched below its weight. It gives reasons for it. But the truth of the matter is these are difficult times. And the survey, if you read between the lines, is preparing you for difficult times.
Rajdeep, I'll stick to the data on the screen rather than my own personal views. And if we take that since Modi took charge chart, and if we look at it the way I am reading the data, what is it? In simple words, it is telling us that there is no one shared economic experience across the country. It's basically a three-way split. Improved is 35%, the same is 30%, and deteriorated is 32%. So basically, the people's experience is varied. Now, if you take a look quickly at the GST, less than 1/4 are saying that they are buying more. 49% say no change. 21% say they are buying less. Now, it is a debate whether we should combine 49 and 21 and then look at it, or independently that less than 1/4 are buying. Net, therefore, in response to what you are saying, the economic survey, the longest survey so far that I have seen in my career, talks about a whole lot of things, but it is very clear. If I go by the previous economic survey and what translated into government decisions as a consequence, what you are now looking forward to, and I hope certainly that becomes reality on Sunday, is a massive wave of deregulation, because this data also tells us that the government has limits on spending and the ability to create employment, and therefore deregulation will be the only way forward, Rajdeep.
Okay, so let's look at the next set of data, and this is on employment situation, and has the government created more jobs? Look at the picture here now. The question was asked, opinion on unemployment situation, 42% saying very serious, somewhat serious around 22%, not very serious is 7%. Not concerned is 14%, but let's look at another set of data. This is about, has government created more jobs? Yes is 53%, no is 41%. So not much of a difference here, but is it the sense that because of the EPFO data, this is looking at somewhat rosy picture of 53%? Right?
And correct me if I'm wrong, these numbers are better than they were in August. In August, there was a sense of greater economic distress than January. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yashwant, that those who felt that unemployment was a serious, somewhat serious or serious, was more than 70%. It's now 60. So there is some sense that the government is trying to provide me relief. Am I correct?
Unemployment hurts more when the inflation is high. Unemployment hurts more when you have lesser money in your pocket. So yeah, from all those perspectives, yes, you are right in your assessment, Rajdeep, that this is going a kind of a jigsaw a little bit, but yes, largely speaking, what Siddharth is making sense as well, that, you know, in overall performance, when you look at the long-term trend line, people are somehow still trusting him, trusting this government more, that, okay, these are our problems, but I guess that you are going to at least try and find a solution.
You know, Salman Sohs, that's the thing. People are admitting there are problems. And as Siddharth has very rightly pointed out, we are a split society. There are people hurting at the bottom of the pyramid and some even in the middle of the pyramid. But they are still they are still giving a vote of confidence to the government, Salman Sohs, in the hope that they will resolve the problems. That's that. You see, you have to look at it from a political perspective. Yes, Siddharth, very quickly.
Very quickly. Basically, the data set tells me this is a dual mood approach. Approval and anxiety both are coexisting in our country.
Very well said.
Yes, Salman Sohs, you want to respond, because it's one thing to have these anxieties, but at the same time, you are willing to trust the government of the day to help you more than the opposition. You have to come up with a proper economic agenda of your own. Where is your economic manifesto?
I will tell you, Rajdeep, because I know you're a political animal, you'll appreciate this. In the early 2000s, when Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee was going for his India Shining campaign, BJP was very fond of talking about how 60 million jobs were created during those 5-6 years. What the reality was that those jobs were not what people were doing. Women, elderly, children, they were working in the farms. It was distress employment. And if you look at the current situation, if you look at the periodic labor force surveys right now, you see a lot of similar employment. Do you know that India is one of only 2 G20 countries where agricultural employment has gone up after the pandemic? Only 2, South Africa and India. When agricultural employment goes up, that means that's distress. Now, let me make a prediction for you, for all of you, for all those watching this TV show. Because of what happened with Manrega, because of the repeal of Manrega, there will be a severe impact on the demand in this country. That's one, and your companies are going to suffer. This is first prediction. Second, because a lot of the spending has been shifted to the states, there's going to be a lot of problems with state budgets because they're already stretched. So now you'll have a double whammy. Now, take it from me, this is going to cause huge problems in the economy going forward. So all of these, by the way, this whole idea...
Mr. Sohs, Mike, sir, despite
very
that,
little time.
you see that disjunction between economics and politics is very clear. It's not as if people are not feeling distress, but they still seem to trust the government to pull them out of this distress. Yes, Zafar Islam.
First of all, let me remind Mr. Sohs that he is a Congress spokesperson and he must remember the UPA regime, where the policy paralysis is there, the 5 fragile economy in the world, and the scams all over during UPA government. Bank was in distress situation, NPA was very high, capital adequacy ratio was, you know what it was. No, just please do not interrupt. I do not interrupt. Have some decency.
No.
And somebody criticized, somebody...
Go ahead, sorry, Zafar.
So somebody who has given this kind of economy during UPA time is talking about that UPA government has delivered a better economy compared to the current situation, despite COVID, despite global headwind, despite many wars, despite tariff situation, despite everything, so many headwinds, still India is selling comfortably compared to many other countries. And that itself is a huge relief, and that lends a lot of comfort to the common man on the street. Every economist, whether it's locally or globally, they admire the way it is being handled, economy is being handled.
Yes.
See, one thing is when being a spokesperson of a party which has not even has 100 MPs, they used to have 400 MPs. They will criticize, and we can understand that even the audience will understand.
Dr. Zafar Islam,
Dr. Zafar Islam, please listen to the question Maria has.
You will realize
you're a banker yourself. The question about employment. There are concerns, but has government created more jobs? That data has gone up from what it was in August last year. What do you think has worked?
Maria, 2 things before I respond to your question. That the rating upgrade by the rating agencies, that itself suggests that Indian economy is in sound state and on the right track. Because otherwise, during UPA time or for last several years, no rating agencies have upgraded our rating. That suggests so many positive development happened in last 11 years. From our position from 11th largest economy to now 4th largest economy. That even the EU FTA that we have signed also suggests that they have more confidence in us, because in 2013 they had abandoned this discussion with the UPA government than they ever had during UPA term. So Indian economy, if somebody criticizes, they must see the numbers, they must see the high frequency data and must see the macro stability what we have demonstrated in the last 11 years. Purely because the decision which has been taken by the Honorable Prime Minister, the various structural reform which has been undertaken is showing the result. And even I'm telling you today that during last 11 months, what the economic stimulus has been given yet to play out in the economy, and that will show a lot of resilience and that will show a lot of productivity, GDP growth.
Can I come in,
the
Rajdeep?
coming years. Having
No,
said
that-
that, yes,
Mr.
job
Sohs,
has been created.
Mr. Sohs, we will have
That
lots
is
of
why
time on
when
budget
you have
day to discuss
when you
this
have
in greater
done
detail.
survey,
Sir,
when you have
I've heard you. No, Zafar Islam, I have to take a hard break. We have to move on to our next segment, which is foreign policy. We've heard the economy, we've heard two sides. Clearly, the government at the moment, in tough times, is seen to have done a decent job. And that in itself, when you do a decent job, people tend to reward you politically. And that's the benefit. And the opposition has an opportunity there to provide an alternative. That clear alternative needs to emerge from the opposition in terms of an economic agenda. Maybe a shadow cabinet with Salman Sohs as a potential future finance minister. Who knows?